Good, thank you, Paul. Yep. Perfect. They're good. Yep. Patty, here you go, bud.
I sit down, I light one up, and pour myself a drink. And I have found that it picks me up and gives me time to think. It's been a long day, you know it's true. But I'm feeling right at home. And now I must say that time is due. Let's get on with the show. Not just blowing smoke.
All All right, everybody. It is time for Not Just Blowing Smoke. Coming at you live from Twins Smoke Shop Studio headquarters in Hooksett, New Hampshire. Be sure to subscribe to us right here on Facebook or YouTube if you're watching live. If you're listening after the fact on Podbean, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, Google, or wherever else you're getting this from, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't ever miss a thing. I'm Pastor Padron. I'm here with my co-hosts, Paul and Pat and Dave. And tonight we are just ourselves. There's no guests. There's no special thing going on. And we are going to be smoking this little boy. This is the Padron 1926 series number 6 Maduro. It's a great little box-pressed Robusto, all Nicaraguan, wrapper binder filler. And what are we going to be drinking with this? Pat, you brought the drink this week for us to pair with the cigar, correct?
Yup.
So while I'm actually lighting the cigar, do you want to talk on the podcast and actually tell us what it is?
Yup. So we're drinking the Old Forester Whiskey Rose Series 1920 Prohibition style.
Nice.
So this is one of my favorite bourbons because I kind of call it like the stout of bourbon. And it's based on, during the Prohibition, there were only 6 distilleries that were permitted to continue making bourbon and whiskey for like medical purposes. Yeah,
Medicinal purposes.
Yeah, so it was under permit KY3, and in 1920 they started bottling.
Not the jelly, the state, right?
KY13. That was the name of the permit. Or it's in
Kentucky, yes.
Yeah.
Someday
I
it'll
would
catch
assume
up with you,
people-
Pat.
I
It'll
would-
catch up with you someday, Pat. When
So-
it does, you'll smile.
I thought you were lighting your cigar, so you'd shut up, Dan.
Uh-oh.
Oh. Ooh.
But yeah, so it's a
Shut
100.
up, Pastor Dan.
It's 115 proof, which is what the bourbon was back then when they were doing it, and they barrel it at 100 proof. But then after the angel shares, it always comes up to be 115 proof, and it's a blend of 72% corn, 18% rye, and 10% malted barley. Malted barley. So it's really good. It has like a really thick caramel sweetness. It has like mocha-y. It's very like mocha-y.
Mocha-y.
It's a long finish, and I figured it would pair well with a full-bodied Maduro cigar.
Since you are in law school, what was the name of the act that started Prohibition
I don't
in
remember.
1920?
I just know it was the 21st Amendment that abolished the Prohibition, which is the legal part of it that I need to know.
I only remember the important part, when it ended. 21st Amendment.
It's called the Volstead Act.
Volstead.
1920.
And it ended December 10th of 1931. I think 31, maybe 32.
You should know this stuff, man.
Well, this
might
isn't
be-
really like a law school topic. I just know it based on.
So is
classes.
that an Apple or an iPhone there, I see?
I'm not looking at that here. This is just the.
The Cryphone.
I'm on Old Forster's website.
Oh,
He's
well,
cheating.
maybe you should ask Siri if there's something on there then about when the act was done. All right, so we're smoking. The bourbon is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
This does not. We've had bourbons that were really high in ABV before. This doesn't. This does. You obviously know this is more than your normal 40 proof thing,
yes.
but this doesn't have
is
that. Oh my gosh, I'm like basically drinking alcohol.
It doesn't have the major burn factor.
No,
bite.
It's got a little bit of a burn, but
has
it's
really
it's
nice
smooth.
spice, but
Yes, it
it's
does.
like-
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's tingly, and it's mostly on the finish.
Mhm.
I got a lot of caramel,
Yes.
cherry, some oakiness to it,
Mhm.
Caramel,
a little
cherry
bit of
oak.
that spice in the background, and especially on the finish. But it is a
Yep.
very flavorful, somewhat smooth, but just a lot of different flavors coming out. This is really good.
It also leaves like this really like malted kind of sweet finish,
Mhm.
and it really is nice to introduce a cigar on top of that. Because like with it being the Maduro, I think that the sweetness from the Padron gets brought out really nicely with it. So
Yeah.
Leaves my mouth
and-
malted.
You know, and This is one of my favorite sizes in the 1926 series of the Padron. You can imagine Pastor Padron is a big Padron fan, aficionado, and cocoa, coffee, earth,
Yes.
some oak, mixed with some nice black and white pepper spice, especially in the retro.
Mm-hmm.
This
yes.
starts off really, really sweet, and the caramel notes in the bourbon are just playing, right? They're playing around with it.
That retro was unbelievable.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it amped it right up for me. I get a lot of,
Yep.
like I said, a lot of that cocoa, coffee, earthy spice, but that retro, oof,
Burn
Wow.
in the tongue
Yeah.
and the burn in the nose.
big time, big time. Yeah, this bourbon absolutely brings those notes up big time, a couple of notches. Yeah, this is really good.
Mm.
It's kind of
Good
cool
pairing,
too
my friend.
because 1926 is when Jose Padron was born. So I just thought like number-wise, like that was during the Prohibition. This is a 1920 Prohibition style. So like the names kind of mingle together. So
Well, isn't the 1926 series celebrating his 75th birthday? Is that right?
no, that's his.
Well,
he
that
was
might be why when
born-
it came out. But
Yeah,
1926 was
2001,
the year,
I think it
year
came
he
out,
was
right?
born.
2001, I think it's when it.
Yeah,
when
but
this came out.
19. Yeah. So that was celebrating that, but 1926 is when he was actually
Right,
born.
you know, I
Yeah,
get that,
yeah,
but they created the 26 series for his 75th birthday. I believe.
yeah. The cigar didn't come out in 1926.
No.
Well,
Well, Padron didn't
obviously
start
not.
in 1964,
I
so
know.
that'd be a neat trick, you know.
Hmm.
Anyway,
What are you getting from the cigar, Dave?
thanks, Dave.
Cocoa, espresso, with some, a little coffee, and just to
AKA
echo.
espresso.
No, they're different. They're
Yeah, it's from
um,
completely different plants.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
No, it's not. It's the same bean.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was the same. So that's good.
It is the same.
That's good.
That's why it's coffee.
Stronger.
It's the process. The process makes espresso.
Yeah. It's like Maduro and broadleaf.
Maduro's a color.
Well, you don't know what it's a process, but they're both tobacco. A broadleaf is not a Maduro.
Broadleaf
what I
is a
meant.
kind of plant, and Maduro
Well,
is
it's
a color.
process. Maduro.
It's a
It's a
color.
It's a process.
It's a color.
Process.
It's a
It's
color.
a color. It's like a
It's a color.
Claro. Claro's a color.
Maduro is a process.
Correct.
No.
Thank you, Paul.
Yes.
Thank you.
The broadleaf is also on one of your favorite cigars, the La Roma de Cuba,
Yep.
but it's also on the Charter Oak broadleaf.
Yep.
Maduro. See,
Right, it can be a Maduro.
You're right. La Roma de Cuba is not Maduro, but it is a broadleaf.
Right.
Mhm.
Now we get that straightened out.
It's a color.
And a process.
It means ripe. That's
Right. Exactly right.
that's
Yes.
what it is.
Aged. It's really
Whenever I smoke the 1926 or
I'm
any
gonna let this
Padron
go.
Maduro, I get like graham crackers. If anyone else can.
On what?
I
On
think-
on
I
what?
think-
I
It-
think
it-
that's
it's-
your baking spice.
You're,
Larry.
you're,
No,
you're
no,
on-
it-
no, we're
graham
not. We're
crackers.
not getting graham
it-
crackers.
it's
Graham
like-
crackers
no.
taste
Oh,
like
you getting a
baking
graham
spice.
cracker on the Padron?
Yeah. It's
Are
like
you
it's
Are
a
you
dry.
sure you're not getting that from the
No, it's a dry
Prohibition?
sweetness.
Did you
yeah.
brush?
This is my fourth drink.
It's a
I
dry
now
sweetness.
taste graham crackers.
It's a dry sweetness, and it tastes like those chocolate graham crackers.
Maduro
Well,
crackers?
I mean, I'm going to say this though. This has a long finish to it, so it
Mhm.
might be playing with your palate a little bit when you draw on the Padron. Maybe you're thinking it's coming from the Padron, but it might very well be
I've
coming
smoked
from.
these before, Paul. I know.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we've just lost any kind of respect this show just had a few minutes ago. And
Yep.
I don't hear,
I
I
would-
don't
I would-
hear any naysayers to that. So
That's-
please forgive
That's
us.
because
there.
there isn't any.
So one of the things that we thought we'd talk about tonight, as we're smoking this, is brick and mortar versus online shopping. And this is something that, as a, Twins being a brick and mortar store, us working in brick and mortar store is obviously important to us. What are the pros and cons of each? What are the advantages? I think, I'll set the stage and say this. Here in New Hampshire, especially in southern New Hampshire, there seems to be a cigar shop on just about every corner. And so anybody, within a 20, 30 mile radius of where we're sitting can get to a smoke shop in about 15 minutes. There's no reason not to go to a brick and mortar store. There are people I know, one of our listeners, Rod, is one. I think he said it was 3 hours to the closest brick and mortar store.
Yeah.
I have friends out in the Midwest. There's nothing within a day's driving distance, and so and that's, I think there is a place for online shopping, because it enables people who don't have the luxury of a brick and mortar store near them within driving distance to partake in the hobby. But let's talk about, so we can have that, down as a base. But let's talk about, when you are around brick and mortar stuff.
Rod says 3 hours by plane.
3 hours by plane.
Yeah.
Okay, I stand corrected.
I can get from here to Florida in 3 hours.
Yeah, you could get to here, Florida, and back in 3 hours. It's ridiculous. So why should people do brick and mortar over doing online if brick and mortar is available to them?
Well, I think brick and mortar offers, it's really multifold. First of all, I'll use Twins, obviously, for example. There's always going to be something new in the humidor every week. And I think a lot of people want to go in there and see, like we talk about it too. We've got people who come in and they'll ask, hey, what's the latest and greatest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they want to see what's new in the humidor. They may be unsure of what they really want to smoke. They come in, they see 1,700 facings, and it just takes them a while to get their footing and figure out what they're going to smoke. But I think it's also the service part too. I mean, we provide, one heck of a customer service experience at Twins here. And it's I think it's contagious. They want to come in, they want to speak to their tobacconists, they want to find out what's going on, they want to see what's new in the briary,
right?
And they want to take advantages of those experiences, which unfortunately the online stores just don't have. They don't have the service.
Yes.
They don't offer all the cigars that we offer, specifically the new or limited ones that we were able to get. In the tobacco world, Dan, look at what you brought in this just in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
A lot of new tobacco, our own blend.
Yep.
For that's
Boston Tea Party.
Yep, it's a great, it's a fantastic tobacco, and we're the only ones to carry it. But I think in the online, for the online, it is going to give you a better price in a lot of the different cigars. So sure, it's cheaper to buy online. And there are certain lines of cigars that we do not carry that you may be able to find at online retailers.
Right.
I was one of that. I mean, before I came to Twins, I used to shop exclusively online.
What was the attraction to that?
Just because I was able to get a lot of different cigars in one shipment. I would get like these packs, let's say 40 full-body cigars for, let's say, $100, and each cigar was different. And I liked that idea. It would get me a chance to try different cigars, figure out which I liked, which I didn't, and then next time I ordered, I would go back and get maybe another pack, or maybe focus on the cigars that I liked out of that pack and get those cigars in boxes. So it did allow me to get other cigars that I might not be able to find in my brick and mortar store at a really good price. And I'll just tell you one, for example, that we actually sell a few of them in the humidor at the Diesel line.
Yep.
I was introduced to that line by a relative about 10 years ago, and I fell in love with it. And I kept getting their variety pack, and every month I would order it. I really, really enjoyed it. And that's not something you're going to find at any brick and mortar. It was only an online exclusive. And it was very inexpensive. But then, unfortunately, the service went down. The cigars started to dry up. And then at that point there, I started working for Twins, and I never looked back. So there is something to be said for online. If you can't find it at your local retailer, and that's a cigar or cigars that you really want to get, that makes sense. But I would say for me, I'm going to support the brick and mortar because I know, first of all, service, selection, and the fact that they're going to be humidified.
You know,
You know?
you're gonna know.
You
You're
know.
gonna know what you're getting.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's the thing. I mean, even if an online place does a great job at taking care of the cigars, when they
The voyage.
are
Yeah.
mailed to you, however long it takes, they're going to get super hot. They're going to get super cold.
Yep.
You don't know how they're going to get treated. People, the packages get chucked around and stuff, bounced around and
Yes,
all this
they do.
stuff. And you don't know what you're going to get. You don't. And cigars are very fragile things. And so, I mean, we've, even just, it's sometimes when we get cigars, if things have been jostled around, you see a box that's damaged, if it happens to us and we're getting them from the manufacturers, it's certainly possible for it to happen to you.
Yep.
And it's happened to me in the past, but you have no real idea in my mind, how the cigars have been cared for before you get them. And so you really just, when you get them from an online place, my general rule is put them in your humidor and forget them for like 2-3 weeks, maybe a month,
Yep.
so that they rest and the humidity is going to be right. And quite frankly, I don't want to go through that. I am much more into going to my local tobacconist, and if they don't have what I'm looking for, the first thing I'm going to do is ask if they can get it, because to me, doing an online purchases in my position where I am is like a last resort.
Mm-hmm.
Pat, you're very quiet.
I'm just waiting for an opportunity, Dan.
Your opportunity has come.
So I think, like, when I think of the question, I kind of distinguish, the luxury tobacco industry from everything else. Like, for instance, like, if I asked you, like, why would you go into a Walmart? You'd be like, oh, I don't know, because Amazon has everything. Like, you don't have to go into these places to buy stuff. It's more convenient to go on Amazon and get it. But then you also go into a Walmart, and there's not, if you're getting, let's just, I don't know, let's take something random like a toilet, all right?
Okay.
They don't have an expert in
That's pretty
Walmart.
random.
Well, I'm just thinking, I mean, they have everything. There's no expert in toilets at Walmart. So
True.
there's no different from you going online, doing your own research, than going into Walmart and doing your own research.
Right.
So I think the trend when it comes to that portion is much different than, like a tobacconist, because when you walk into Twins, you may not know what you want, and you can be guided the right way. You're not really fending for yourself. And I think a big thing too is if there's a scenario where a B&M doesn't have what you want, you have, experts there that can kind of take what you're wanting and even maybe get you something you wouldn't have gotten online. You might enjoy more than what you originally went in for.
Right.
So I think,
Yeah.
like to Paul's point, the service portion of it is unique to B&Ms because you don't have like a live chat on these websites with somebody that can kind of guide you the right way. And I know, the shock factor when you walk into Twins and all those facings, 1,700 facings, it's people don't really know where to go. They have to kind of take it all in. But if you go to a website, at least at Twins, you have all those facings within your vision. When you're online, you have to click on certain links. You have to, for one, know what brand you're looking for, and then you have to find that brand, and then that's when
Yep.
you see the condensed portion of that. So I think that's mainly, to me, why B&M is, better than online, but also, and then your point, you can kind of feel the cigars and look at them before you even buy them.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I think stands true to when I have this conversation with other people is you can get better deals online in a lot of situations because they bulk buy more than a B&M would.
Right.
And that's when you kind of go through the process of, well, it's cheaper, but again, I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know the conditions it's kept in. They have all of this product, which means they have to store it all. So are they taking shortcuts on it? And then you're not getting the experience of walking in, being able to kind of look around, and you just lose a big function of what I would consider the cigar smoking experience. Like walking
Right.
in and seeing everything and choosing it, to me, is part of that. And then if you're going online, you're eliminating that, just getting a box, taking it out, just walking on your porch and smoking it,
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Dave, have you ever bought cigars online?
Once. And it was because it was a brand by Oliva called or wow, the name just flew out of my head.
Master Blend.
No, it was Hellions, the Oliva Hellions, and they're not sold in any store. There was an online one only, and I love Olivas, so I was like, wow, they, I read the reviews. They're full bodied, they're spicy, peppery. So I was like, wow, I really want to try those, and so that's why I bought them, because I couldn't get them where I was at. We would never get them. But that was like the only exception. I don't have. I have 4 humidors at home. They're all empty. I'm an instant gratification type of guy. I smoke what I'm. I buy what I'm smoking. So that online usually is not the place that I go, unless if I need it right away, or like if I intend on smoking it, I'll go to a store and smoke it. And to my point, if I was going in for a certain thing, I can say to the person at Twins, this is what I want. What do we got? And they can point out any cigar. So it's nice. That's a huge benefit that you don't have to. There's so many cigars that are similar that you can almost always get what you want or what you're looking for in taste.
And it's funny because, I do buy online. I'd say pretty constant because, like the cigars I smoke, like Opus and everything, like that's not always coming in. So, sometimes I outsource that. And it's funny because you go on these websites and they try combating that recommendation from a tobacconist by having, you bought this, so you may also like. And then it's like something that is so out there and not relevant to what I like. And I'm like, why is this even an option based on what I just bought?
Quorums.
Yeah, it's insane. So that to me is like an upsell thing. And then you go to the front page, and ironically, that's their showcased deal, whatever it is. So
yeah. So what's the final thought on this topic?
Support your local brick and mortar.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, unless you're someone who is just tied to one specific cigar, and your local brick and mortar doesn't carry it or is out of stock. We've seen instances like that last year, specifically when we were just suffering through back order after back order, depending upon the line. So some customers were so intent on getting their cigar that they were forced to go to a brick and mortar who may have had them versus, the online store versus the brick and mortar, just because the brick and mortars were out. Unless you're really, really hooked on a cigar, support your local brick and mortar. We can, if we were out of a stock on a specific cigar that you're looking for, we can certainly recommend others that will certainly be pleasing to your palate. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. I think that unless you're in a position like Rod's, where you need to get on a plane and fly for 3 hours to get to your nearest brick and mortar, support your brick and mortar.
3 hours in a plane, Rod. My God.
I think
How deep in the back country do you live? Well, no, I'm telling where he lives, but these must be really,
Canada,
really deep in the woods there.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that I kind of observe is I think people that are fortunate to have local B&Ms kind of take it for granted. And I think that, they look at what they have in a B&M and then they say, oh, well, I can get this for, this much online. And then they start going online and saying, like, oh, I could do this online. I think that people that don't have a B&M always wish they had one, but then when they get it, they start taking it for granted, like, oh, now I know everything, and I know what I like, so now I can just do it on my own, you know?
Well, not for nothing, too, but cigars are very often counterfeited. And, like, I see all the time in magazines, like Rocky Patel's seconds, these were, cut wrong or miscolored. You have no idea whether those are actual Rocky seconds or not. It's just like with Cuban cigars, you get the label, slap it on the stick, and there it is. If you're paying $10 for a cigar in your brick and mortar and you find it online for $5, it's probably not the one in your brick and mortar store.
Right.
That's the truth. It's probably, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. But people, are always, when you're finding the real stuff, this is something else that I've found. By the time you've added the shipping in, unless you're buying $100, $150, $200 and the shipping is free, once you add the shipping cost, it's really not any different than getting it at the brick and mortar place either.
Mm-hmm. I had a customer who came in today who told me he saw online the Aging Room Nicaraguan Cuatro, #1 cigar of the year from, a year or 2 years ago,
Right.
for $5 a cigar. And I'm like, wait, whoa. Sorry, can you repeat that? Because that's below cost.
Right.
I mean, if we're selling it for 12, that's below cost.
Right.
So, I mean, I kind of questioned it, but I just let it go. But I'm thinking, is he really getting the Aging Room Nicaraguan Cuatro? Is he getting...
Well, that's like the same guy who, says, I buy Cuban cigars all the time. They're like $5 a stick.
Yeah.
You just nod your head and say, well, do you like the cigars? Yeah, I love them. They're awesome. Well, then great. But I'm thinking to myself, in Cuba, those cigars are $20 US. So if you're having them imported from somewhere and you're not paying, $20 a stick, it's probably not legit.
Right.
It's there is the cost involved, and we all know the cost of everything has gone up.
Yep.
Cost of wood, the cost of paper, the cost of ink, the cost of travel, the cost of shipping.
Everything
has
everything
gone
is
up.
going up, and it's going to continue to go up too. Doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. So beware of brick and mortar deals that seem too good to be true.
That is good advice,
they
Paul.
probably will. They probably is.
Yep, absolutely.
Rod says the most easterly point in North America. We're not called the edge of the earth for nothing.
Wow.
Remember, Rod, we need your mailing address so that we can send you that T-shirt, because Nicolux was the nickname that won our little contest, and so you're going to get a dog walker T-shirt from us. I don't know if you can wear T-shirts where you live in Canada. No one may ever see it, but I guess you'll know you're wearing it. So make sure you get us your mailing address so that we can ship that off to you. This topic is getting kind of depressing. Let's switch gears a little bit, and this is off cigar topic, but I think it's an interesting conversation. A few weeks ago we talked about how there's been a lot of talk in the cigar industry about what they're doing or not doing as far as naming cigars and cigar brands that may or may not attract minors, and is it intentional, is it unintentional, do we need to worry about that? Well, we've had there's kind of something that's almost the exact opposite thing going on right now, and that is that Disney, which, as many of you know, owns the rights. They bought Marvel Studios. They've recently acquired Fox.
Yep.
What was that, last year, something, a year or two ago, they acquired Fox, and they have just bought the rights to the Netflix Marvel series that was on a number of years ago: Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Defenders, Punisher, all of which are TVMA rated shows. And as a result of buying those and putting them on their streaming service, their up till now family-friendly, fair service and brand now offers adult MA titles. And when I was trying to turn on Disney Plus the other day for a completely unrelated reason, all of a sudden I had to choose whether or not I wanted to see adult MA content, and I needed to create a pin to protect myself and my kids from getting that if I wanted to block them from seeing those things. And there's been a lot of heat that Disney has been getting, because here's this brand that has been firmly entrenched in the family-friendly fare forever, and had basically up until this point committed not to do anything that was over PG-13. And now they have this adult-only stuff, principally because it was Marvel content. They own it. They wanted to get it. Those characters are now entering into movies and things that are going to be coming out later on. Daredevil was actually featured in
No Way Home. Yep, that was
the latest
awesome.
Spider-Man
So happy to
movie
see
that came out. And Disney has been getting a lot of flack that they have given up on families. This is going to be a huge hurt to them and the Disney brand, because they are marketing adult content. And they have actually gotten letters from family-related groups who are telling them that. On the other hand, there's other people saying, thank God. The only reason I had to subscribe to Disney Plus was Star Wars, and after I saw all of that, I really just had no reason to watch it. It's if you don't have kids, why have Disney Plus? Now people are saying, if this opens a door to more adult content like stuff, maybe Disney is something that they won't cancel. And they're trying to get to 230, 240 million subscribers in the next 2 years. Right now, they're about halfway there. So they've got a lot of work to do. They're at about 130 million subscribers now. So what's your thought on this? Do you think adding adult content to Disney Plus hurts the Disney brand? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Are you glad that those shows are being highlighted again? Paul, I know, has no idea what we're talking about, but the rest of you, I think, do.
Well, I mean, I have my own opinion on that. Again, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's maybe Disney figured out that maybe they're capped out on just being a family-oriented channel. I mean, they see the success that Netflix had over the years. They see what HBO's done with HBO Max. I mean, you go to HBO Max and they've got all types of categories: family, adult, in between. So maybe they realize if they're going to need to increase their subscribers, like you say, the only way they can do that is to offer adult-oriented programming.
Is to appeal to a wider audience
Exactly.
than just families with
Not
kids.
everybody wants to watch My Little Pony every day.
I mean, do you remember back in the day when Disney purchased Touchstone Pictures? Touchstone Pictures was everything. I mean, it had R-rated pictures. It had PG-13. It had everything, and yet that was owned by Disney. And where Disney was family-oriented, people back then were questioning, why are they purchasing a movie house that is doing R-rated films? So maybe they're kind of going back to that route, that they need to expand their audience beyond just families.
Yeah, and they've been doing it kind of subvertively through Hulu, which they own 70% of. And so a TVMA or R-rated things they've been throwing out on Hulu that maybe from companies that Disney owns up until now. Now it's looking like now Disney has a way to do it on their own. And does that mean that Hulu and Disney are going to merge? Are they going to become one thing and Hulu's going to kind of go away? Or is they going to stay separate and Disney will just offer its own stuff? One of the things that people were thinking of too is, two of the most popular Marvel movies that have been out have been owned by Fox, and that's Deadpool 1 and 2. And Paul, I know you've never seen those.
I saw the first one.
You saw the first one?
Yeah.
All right. It's very adult stuff, but it's a Marvel character. Now they have the rights to that character. They have the rights to the movies, but they can't show it unless they have that out. Now they do. And I know they're in the works to making a Deadpool 3, another sequel to that. And this opens up the whole thing of having it on Disney Plus and adding it to their Marvel repertoire. Pat, you've been very quiet. Again, are you just waiting for
We're
a
going
chance
down
to
the
jump?
line. Paul just went. Now I'm next.
I'm not done yet.
Oh,
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Pat.
see, I'm like part
Thank
of
you,
the-
Pat. Okay, Dave,
Thank you, Dave.
back
So-
to Pat.
I'm just on.
And for pipes, we are doing.
It's just one of those things where it's like I don't know why people care. Like it's Disney. It's not like it's some small entity. Like no one's gonna boycott, Pinocchio because that's like It's just part of a childhood. Like you watch these movies and that's just something you do. It's like a tradition.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
one of the to argue to devil's advocate, they're thinking. So, what's going to happen at the Disney theme parks? Is there going to be like a Deadpool ride that only adults can go on? Is there going to be?
I think that's going to be completely separate. I think
Are
that's
they?
why
Is it
people are
is it
overreacting.
going to go into those things, and so you can't take your kids anywhere either?
And well, even if they added a Deadpool ride, who cares? Like if you don't want your kids to
Parents
see
need
it,
to be parents.
yeah, just well,
Yeah.
you can't
not
just say
Disney's fault,
don't
it's
do
parents'
that.
fault.
Like don't let your kids go on the ride. I mean, when you're parenting someone, you're constantly teaching your children what to do and what not to do. Like for
Yeah.
instance, like the whole like cigar thing. Teach your kids to not smoke
If
cigars.
it's offensive, shut it off. If it's offensive,
And-
don't listen to it.
And that's why,
Yeah.
like, they have, again, like we talked about, like, the online retailers, the 21 protected websites. You have a parental guided thing, like, you have to have your parents approve of you being in it. If you don't have those safeguards, again, back to the parents, they should have those safeguards. And it's just, and the funny thing about Disney is, I mean, look it up on YouTube if you haven't seen it, but they put suggestive things in all of their movies that
Yep.
no one notices
Yep.
until you
Oh, yeah.
until you know it's there.
Yep.
And it's just they try to appeal to the older audience. And like another example is like look at SpongeBob for instance. Like SpongeBob is a kid show, but they have adult content that's kind of hidden, and you have to be an adult to be like, oh, I get what that means.
Well, in SpongeBob's defense, the original series was supposed to be, it was marketed when it's from its conception as an adult show, and then they turned it into a kid show.
Yeah, but all these shows have something in it, or even movies that could,
But yeah,
like
you're
when,
right.
when like the dad takes their kids out to the movies, like you could be like, oh, look, that looks like a, thing.
Okay.
But it's like, so they've always.
that looks like a thing. You're right, son.
I'm Viking.
Close
Disney
your
is not
eyes.
as
A
innocent.
thing.
Disney is not as innocent as you think they are.
And then even
No.
look at like Pirates of the Caribbean. Like that's there's a ride for that, but it's like it's pirates. And if you watch the movie, like there's some kind of sketchy things that happen. You know what used to happen back then. Like they would like kind of degrade women and everything like that. And it's in the movie. They don't go into big detail, but if you're educated, you know that what's going on, and like what they're implying in some of their conversations, you know what they're talking about. And then again, you can go, everyone loves Jack Sparrow, you can go on the ride, and it doesn't mention any of that stuff on the ride, and
Right, right.
so I just think it's just an excuse for people to voice their opinion that no one cares about.
Well, I mean, I guess if you look, who's been to Disney World recently?
I went a long time ago, but I remember it.
All right, I haven't been there in over 20 years, but I mean,
I've been there more recent than that.
All right,
so.
but I mean, is there? And correct me if this is wrong, but are there are rides in Disney World that you have to be a certain age
Well,
or a certain
a
height
lot of the rides.
to ride them? Correct.
Yes.
Well, I think
yes.
if you're
Not just for kids.
I actually think if you're a minor, you have to have a parent with you to go on any ride. You can't just be a kid and walk in on a ride.
Correct. But or there are certain rides that I think you have to be either a
You
certain
have to be.
age.
You have to be a certain
Like, for
age or a
instance,
certain
like,
height.
Right.
Mount
so
Everest.
So it's not just for kids; it's for adults too.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Expedition
And-
Everest is like this huge roller coaster that you go like 90 miles per hour backwards at a point. There's a Yeti. A kid can't go alone on that ride.
So if you look at it from that perspective, Disney is more than just for kids. It's for everyone. So why not the channel be for everyone?
Right.
And then the resorts have drinking. I mean, one of the big things is
Yep.
going to Epcot and drinking around the planet.
Yeah.
Drinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drinking around the planet.
Correct.
Well, yeah, but they have like different, like all the regions are there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yep.
all right, so are you promoting drinking to your kids now because you can drink at Disney?
In
You know?
Epcot, then they have in Germany they have the beer garden.
Yeah,
which
it's
is
just
all adults.
Yep.
it's a frivolous argument that
Right.
people just want to make because it gives them some attention.
Yeah,
when,
exactly.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Haters
I,
being a haters.
you know, I think that Disney is not going to stop making family-friendly movies. You know, Pixar is not going anywhere. You know, if they come out with a Incredibles movie 3, I won't at all be surprised. You know, but I don't think this is something that is going to hurt them. But I will argue that I think the major reasons for doing this are they want to make money.
Correct. And everyone's streaming right
you're
now.
only going to be able to make so much. You're only going to be able to have so many subscribers if your primary market is 13 and under. And if you want to get, you know, to 200 or 300,000 subscribers, you've got to have a wider selection of content. And so they're doing what they need to do if they want to survive as a streaming service. Right? I mean, that
Correct.
just makes sense.
Nope.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And again, you know, I applaud Disney Plus for immediately inducing a passcode protected entry, because you can set up different accounts, you know, on, you know, for who's watching, and you can block your kids out of your account, and you can make sure that your kids don't see any of the adult content.
It's not like
stuff.
they just opened it all up.
Right.
You know,
The minute the stuff was out there, it was possible to block it.
So for instance, like, say it came out, right, and then you're the parent, you have 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
If your kid went on before you did, would they be able to see it, or would you have to be
No.
on first as the parent?
They wouldn't. They'd have to put in like all the passwords, the usernames. They'd have to go through a whole step-by-step
Yeah, so
process.
it's again like they took the proper safeguards to prevent anyone from
Yeah,
seeing
they
it.
did.
Like I don't see any issue with it.
And even these parent organizations who are ticked off at Disney admitted that that was a good move, and they were glad that they did that. They just don't want to see any of this adult stuff on Disney at all.
Can you see that, Pat?
What are you looking at, Pat? Dave, just
It's well, I'm trying to figure out who it is.
That's my mom.
Okay, so Pat's mom says, Patrick, I tried to teach you to do a lot of things you don't do.
Thank you.
What could she possibly be talking about, Pat?
I don't know. Maybe working at a cigar shop.
You
About-
think
about-
maybe- is it like making your bed, doing your laundry?
How about smiling?
Smiling, yeah, there you go.
You can shut the comments off now.
Oh my! There's so many things I could say, but I won't, because I'm just that kind of guy. What are we thinking of the pairing right now?
Well-
we're like almost through this. We're in the final third of the cigar already.
Yeah. That's unfortunate with Padron because they do smoke quick. But
Oh, this is a short cigar too, in
Right.
its defense.
I will say that I believe the Prohibition is pulling out a lot more of that cocoa note in the final third of the cigar. It's that nice sweet cocoa note that we all love about Padron, and it's really kind of amped up more now. Still getting the spice, still getting a little bit of the earthy tones, but that cocoa note is really more pronounced.
I think I'm getting a little graham cracker.
Are you serious?
A little bit, yeah. I think I just got some.
I still
Graham
think it's
cracker.
the Old Forester, man. I don't think it's necessarily the Padron. But
Well,
then
maybe
again,
it's the
Pat-
pairing.
Pat's gonna
the
Pat's
pairing.
gonna say nay to that, but
No, I would agree. I don't get graham cracker.
I don't either.
But I think the pairing is working really well.
Yeah, really.
You know, when I had it a little bit earlier this afternoon, you know, a little test run, pre-show libation, I felt like that it took a little bit of the sweetness away from the cigar, but in the back half, the cigar itself loses a lot of its sweetness. You get more of a oakiness to it, and cedar and leather come out, and now the sweetness of the bourbon is kind of filling that gap. And so I still feel like I'm getting a lot of that sweetness that I love in the Padron, along with those changes of flavor. I mean, this cigar changes up a couple of times as you do it. You know, it goes from that really sweet cocoa coffee, earth, and black and white pepper to more of a vanilla and caramel kind of thing in the middle. And then at the end, it's more cedar, more leathery, and less sweet. And I'm still enjoying the sweetness with the drink. And I really think that pairing is making that happen.
That retro hit is outstanding.
It's one of my favorite things about
Outstanding, man.
Padron.
Oh,
And I was telling Dan
Just-
before, like the back third of a lot of Padrones,
almost like a pepper bomb.
it doesn't get bad, but it gets very strong. Get like those darker Nicaraguan flavors, like
Yep.
the leather, the
Yep.
earth, and the pepper. So I was expecting that the drink would definitely introduce, that sweetness and kind of smoothen that out a little bit, because it kind of like, has that thick coating on your palate. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the pairing for sure.
You're still batting 1,000, my friend. Good job.
We had to change the cigar, but that's
Bravo.
okay. We were very concerned about his, batting average, so we made it happen. Do we want to talk a little bit about what's coming up at Twins? This is a kind of a busy month.
Well,
we got Willie Herrera coming in on the 6th of April.
April 6th, which is a Wednesday night from 5 to 9. Willie Herrera from Drew Estate will be in the Londonderry store. We'll be showcasing a lot of his cigars, Harastelli, and a few other lines. I think the 20-acre farm is also going to be highlighted there too. That's pretty much where the deals are going to come from too. It's going to be a line of different accessories. So depending upon what you buy, we'll have different deals that night. There'll be deals for certain singles and for boxes and for multi-boxes, and depending upon what you buy, we'll determine what you get for the deals. So come on in on Wednesday, April 6th from 5 to 9. I'll be there because I'll be closing. And Willie will be there closing with me too.
Closing with Willie.
Yes.
Sounds like a podcast title. And then Tuesday, April 12th, we have our next cigar dinner right here at Hooksett. A night in Tuscany, the Toscano Dinner.
Yes.
With Mike from Toscano. That's going to be a great time. Tickets are on sale now. They're $80. It's going to be a full-blown, awesome Italian dinner from one of the premier restaurants around here, the XO, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah,
it's
it's
going to be a really good time.
Yep.
Cigars, wine, Italian.
Yes.
Mike is the brand ambassador from Toscano. He's actually from Italy.
He's from Italy.
And if you've never heard of Toscano cigars, Toscano is an Italian company, and they've been making cigars for about 200 years. And kind of like calling any kind of carbonated beverage a Coke, in Italy, cigars are you can call a cigar a Toscano because it's the most, just like you'd call any kind of tissue a Kleenex. That's really a brand. It's not what it is.
Right.
It's the same thing over there. Toscano is smoked so often that that's a very common name for a cigar over there. And we're going to have some great deals with that, and that's coming up in just a little under a month from now. And then Saturday, April 23rd at Londonderry from 10 to 3, Eric Stokeby is going to be there. He owns Fourth Generation Tobacconist. That's a pipe and tobacco company. He's going to be in store. He's celebrating his 10th anniversary in the business with his company, Fourth Generation Tobacconist. That's going to be a great, great time. So if you're into pipes, or you want to get into pipes and you want to meet one of the biggest names in the pipe industry right now, he'll be there. Eric Stokeby will be at Twins in Londonderry from 10 to 3 p.m. That's a free event, and that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's do a little Cigar Confessions now. What do you think? All right. And tonight, my cigar confession is, please, please, please don't rush the light of your cigar.
Mm.
You can really, really impact how your cigar is going to perform and how you taste it by how you light it. And that's especially true with real mild cigars. I see people, just hold the torch up and
Half the
and
cigar's black.
get it going, and you see all these streaks going up the cigar. You're going to taste those streaks. You're going to taste all that carbon. Cigar, tobacco is like a sponge. It absorbs all the tastes and smells around it. And so if you like the taste of carbon and burnt things, then by all means, torch your cigar at 17,000 degrees or whatever. But you can really, really enjoy your cigar in ways that maybe you don't normally do by taking your time and doing it right. And I know you all know I've been a big fan of the soft flame light for a long time. Pat, who's just gotten himself a DuPont, is entered the club in which I've been by myself for so long, and now you're really enjoying it, lighting with the soft flame now, right, Pat?
Yeah, it makes a big difference, honestly. Like, I mean, everyone used to make fun of me when I was using, like, jet lighters, because I would have 2 lighters. I would do a single flame, because it, was easier to kind of toast it. And, you do taste the difference. And I didn't, torch the heck out of my cigar when I was lighting it, but it's so much, like, harder using a jet than a soft flame. So I think naturally it's going to do a little bit adversely to the cigar. And ever since using the soft flame, you can get kind of pretty close to it. And there's been times that when I was learning how to do it where, it looked like I torched the hell out of it, but I didn't. Like, the ash on the foot of the cigar was still white. It wasn't burnt. But when I would use a jet, if you look at the ash, it would be a little bit, blackened. It wouldn't be like charred black, but there would be a little bit more of a tint on it. So I've seen a huge difference. And, like, I've re-smoked cigars that I've had when I was jetting them. And the beginning of it is a lot more pleasing. So
We did a video, 2 videos actually,
Yep.
about a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
talking about how to light your cigar with a torch and a soft flame.
And how long it took.
And
Yeah.
I mean, the proper way to do it, with a torch, you obviously want to give it a little bit of a toast, but you also don't want to bury the foot of your cigar into the flame. You want to keep it above the flame.
Right.
And Dan showed about how lighting a cigar with a soft flame works. It takes a little longer, but it still, does a fantastic job. So it's preference, but either way, you got to know the proper way to do it.
Yep.
And yeah, please do not. If you have a Connecticut, what did you say earlier? If your Connecticut wrapper looks like a Maduro,
Yeah.
you light it, you might want to go back and try again.
Yeah. It really is amazing how taking the time to do that will change the taste of the cigar. I've done, especially with Connecticut, that's the easiest to see it on.
Yep.
If you really rush it and the cigar gets kind of black and charred, and you smoke it, and you take the same cigar, obviously not the one you just lit up, but you take a new cigar, same kind, and you really do a nice toasting of the bottom, and you take your time and you get it going without having all of those stripes going up your cigar, and then you taste that. It tastes like 2 different cigars.
Yep.
Obviously, there's going to be some similarities, but you can taste the difference. It's not hard to taste the difference. It's not like you have to be some kind of tobacconist or super aficionado or have a palate that's amazing in order to discern the difference. It's easily discernible.
Yeah, you know the difference between a well-done steak and a medium steak. You can easily tell the difference.
Low and slow. That's my motto.
Low and slow. Oh, the things we could do with that. I'll just again let that pass.
That's going on the soundboard.
So many different ways.
Low and slow.
Low and slow.
Yep. Cue the 70s porn music. Wow. What's the final verdict here on the Padron Serie 1926 number 6 Maduro?
Well, there's no question this is a full body cigar. So again, lot of cocoa, a lot of earth, a lot of that nice spice that I'm getting out of it. I'm going to say it again with the Old Forester Prohibition. I think it's a fantastic pairing. I was a little bit when you said it was 115. I was kind of questioning it, but Pat, again, you're batting 1,000 with this. For me, it's pulling out a little bit more of those cocoa notes towards the end of the cigar, and
Don't die, Dan.
all choked up.
It's definitely 115.
Okay. But all in all, it's been a really, really fantastic pairing.
Oh my
Kudos,
God. Pat
buddy.
smiled. Holy
Kudos.
crap.
Hey, whatever it takes you to smile.
Wow. See, I'm willing to do whatever it takes.
Yeah, you want to finish that one golf?
I wasn't trying to finish in one golf. I just, I don't know. Ooh, fire. Pat, what do you think?
I concur with Paul. I think, like, when you see 115, it's definitely going to be something that you characterize as being, and it's not going to pair with many cigars, but I think, you can control how you consume it. And if you take, like, very subtle sips, I think it's going to reward your palate, and it's going to offer... It's gonna offer flavors, like, again, like I call this like a stout kind of beer but a bourbon. It gives you like those really nice like malted chocolate flavors, and it really does coat your palate well. And if you're someone like Dan and you just swig the thing, I think it's gonna be to your detriment. But yeah, I'm very pleased with it. It's one of my favorite bourbons, and I think it paired very well with the cigar.
It's not just any stout, man. This is more like an imperial type of stout.
Yeah.
In terms of the what you're trying to accomplish here. This is a really flavorful, full body bourbon.
Buttery.
Yeah,
Awesome.
but it's very smooth. I mean, again, this is probably one of the smoothest. It's not necessarily a barrel age. This is more. Did they describe how they got the 115? I mean, is it straight from the barrel?
During the Prohibition, you would have to put it in at 100% proof or 100 proof, and then after the Angel Share, it would be 115.
115. Yep.
How about you, Dave?
I concur with what everybody has been saying. The pairing is just perfect, Pat. Thank you. It's got these wonderful. It's like this buttery caramelness that's going on, and it just makes the retrohale to the cigar like unbelievable. It's awesome.
All right.
I'm gonna have to put the Demon Boys on for you, Dan.
Dan, can you finish the rest of that in one gulp so we can watch it, please?
I think some of it just went down the wrong way.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was bad.
might want to double up the intermission.
We'll see. In the meantime, people, as I use my Joker voice, we're going to take a break right now, and we'll be back after the break with Sutliff's Crumble Cake Red Virginia. Don't go anywhere. All right, everybody, we are back. And I think my voice is mostly back. Mostly. And we are smoking this Crumble Cake, Red Virginia from Sutliff Tobacco. From the tin, it says aged. This is hilarious. Aged red Virginias pressed into a vintage crumble cake, providing an exceptionally sweet and smooth smoke. One can only hope. It's manufactured by Sutliff. It's Virginia. Guess what's in it? It's Virginia. Red Virginia. There's no flavoring on it. And it's a crumble cake. You know what a crumble cake is? It's crumble cake. And Paul, what are we pairing with it?
So tonight, we're going to pair this tobacco with the Hakaju
Hakaju?
single malt Japanese whiskey. Now, I actually had received this bottle from a relative about 5-6 years ago, and when I first tried it, I really wasn't too into it. It was a little smoky, a little peaty, and I really, at that point in my life, I really didn't like that type of whiskey, so I pushed it off to the side and kept it in my cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we decided to do the crumble cake, I was trying to figure out what would pair well with this, and immediately when I went back to this bottle, and I brought it in and had Shell, who I worked with, try it out with me, and we both agreed that this actually... You okay? Need some water.
I'm so happy I brought that
He's
bottle.
got water.
We both agree that this whiskey actually pairs pretty well with this tobacco. And
Pretty well.
Yep, and I think it did. I think it actually. I want to find out what you guys think, but I think it paired pretty well. One interesting tidbit about this particular whiskey is it's made by the Suntory Corporation, and back in 2018, because of the rise in popularity of whiskey in Japan, they actually discontinued it for a couple of years, and then they brought it back last year in limited quantities. So it's a very popular whiskey. Again, slightly peated, slightly smoky. You're going to pick up notes of oak. I pick up a little honey, little pine, little pear.
Something there.
So I think it's going to pair well. It's a little. The floral notes I get from the whiskey, I think, will pair with the floral notes of the tobacco. So just want to see what you guys think.
All right. Pat, what are you picking up right away?
So the tobacco has, fix my mic here. Has some nice like light spice that kind of coats the palate. It has like a little bit of hay and fig, and then a really nice like savory like stone fruit sweetness. And the whiskey is introducing kind of like, I'm getting a lot of like, floral notes out of it, which is kind of bringing out like this clove note, and it's very leathery to me because it reminds me of a Scotch, which it's peated, so that makes sense.
Yep.
I haven't had enough time to really sit with it. It's kind of a funky pairing, but I think it is introducing like a nice, like I love leather, so it's adding a nice kind of like leather texture on the finish, and it's pretty early days, but I'm digging it so far.
Dave?
I concur.
That's it.
I think the pairing's going really well. I think the floral notes in the whiskey are really doing the same with the pipe tobacco. The Virginias are, I feel like, sweeter with the whiskey as well.
One of the things I like about this right off the bat, and this is why like Mississippi River is one of my favorite pipe tobaccos, is when you draw from the pipe, the smoke like entering your palate feels like it's like a vinegar type sensation on your tongue, and then once you're done drawing, that texture is gone, and then you start getting the flavors. So I love that.
Yep.
And this is the first tobacco I've had other than Mississippi River that does that.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, Pat, except the way I described the initial draw into my palate was more like a confectionery sugar type sensation. And then when I exhaled, I got a lot of like, I'm going to classify it as a lemon drop melon flavor. Does anyone know what a lemon drop melon is?
Mm-hmm.
It's a hybrid fruit. It's a combination between lemon and a melon.
Really?
Yeah, it's a
Wow.
real thing, but it's literally manufactured. It's a hybrid, and you get a little bit of that lemon melon flavor, a little oakiness, and I think the pairing is actually bringing out a little bit more of that melon flavor to me, and I do agree with you, a little bit more of a leather flavor too. So
Yeah, I agree with that too.
yep.
Leather melons.
Mm-hmm. Dan,
Um,
in between coughs.
let me tell you what I'm tasting. The tobacco is really, really nice. Kind of to Pat's point, Mississippi River is tobacco that is Seattle Pipe Club brand, which is also owned by Sutliff. They make it for them. And when I open the tin and crack it, I get that same kind of vinegary tin note that I do from Mississippi River. Although Mississippi River's vinegar tin note is enough to like knock you over. And,
More so than my wild man?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's bizarre because when you smoke it, you don't get vinegar at all. You taste everything but that.
Yeah.
And kind of similarly here, I get lots of deep, dark stewed fruit notes, toasted bread, a little bit of cocoa. There's hints of citrus here and there, hay here and there, and a very pleasant spice to it as well. Medium plus in body, medium in strength, I think, for the tobacco.
Yeah.
I think it's a great blend for the person who's looking for a nice, full-bodied Virginia.
And one thing I just picked up on is, so the tobacco on its own, on the finish, gives you kind of like, amongst the other flavors I mentioned, it has like this kind of hickory sweet barbecue sauce flavor. And then if you do the drink, so it's fresh on your palate, it kind of takes that out and adds that kind of leathery, kind of oak wood flavor in place of it. So it kind of changes it from a sweet hickory to like an oak wood, and then more of like a leathery note than barbecue.
I can dig that.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Absolutely get that. Yep.
Yeah, it's very good. Let's get back to some cigar pipe tobacco kind of talk as far as a discussion point as we're smoking through the bowl here. We all have noticed, I'm sure, the prices of everything on earth have gone through the roof. I was watching on the news how a year ago a gallon of gas was like $2.30, and today, if you're paying under $4, you're in a really great place. There's a lot of places in the States where it's $5, $6, closing in on $7 a gallon for gas.
Mm-hmm.
That, of course, has made the price of food go up. The price of shipping has gone up. Cigars have gone up. Food has gone up. Restaurants have gone up. Everything's gone up. And one of the, we were just putting the finishing touches on one of our upcoming events, and it was brought up, how much play money are people going to have to do purchasing after doing like a cigar dinner, perhaps. Do we really want to focus on making an event, about what's bought after it in order to make it successful? And that raised, I think, the whole question that I thought we could talk about tonight is, what have we seen as tobacconists in the industry as far as people spending their money on cigars or tobacco? Has it gone up? Has it gone down? Has it stayed the same? What are we noticing? I think there has been a kind of an idea that, especially through the whole Corona thing that cigars and tobacco is almost a recession-proof kind of business. People are always going to go for that. But, when it comes to the point of, maybe you had $100 to spend on cigars and tobacco before, maybe now you have $70 or $60 or $50. Are we noticing any kind of difference that way?
I don't think there's any difference except people are still buying. If one thing we've noticed in the last, well, this quarter really is people are coming in droves. Nothing has stopped. As a matter of fact, it's getting busier. Twins here in Londonderry and in Hooksett have seen more and more people come in. The lounge upstairs in Londonderry is bonkers. I don't think there's a night that they'll have a full crowd. Doesn't matter if it's a Monday or a Saturday, and that just means more people coming in, buying cigars, and going upstairs and enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
I don't really think the increase of gas and other products or shipping or whatever is really affecting us. Maybe your point, Dan, that we may be very well a recession-proof business. I think people want to have their free time, their fun time. This is their way of expressing that, and I haven't seen any downward trend in that at all.
I've seen a little bit where people they'll still buy the same amount, but they'll buy cheaper cigars. That's about it. But I mean, we've gotten busier just as you have, and almost because we have we have new regulars now because Londonderry is so busy. There's no parking places.
Yep.
So they come here.
Yep.
And now they just come here just because they know it's going to be busy. And it's crazy.
It's always funny to me how, especially when it's cold and nasty out, I apparently have really done something to my lungs. People are so surprised that Londonderry is so busy, especially on a Friday or a Saturday. It's not uncommon. It has not been uncommon this winter for like on a Saturday for the bar to open at 12 and have it be full by 12:30 or 1, and it stays that way all day long. And people are like, "What's going on? There's no place to park." Like, welcome to Twins.
Right.
I mean, there's if you can't smoke at home, you can't smoke inside. It's too cold to smoke outside, or it's too miserable to smoke outside. You're going to look for a place to do it inside. And so why wouldn't you come to a place like Twins? It's always kind of like, it's always been this way. The wintertime is the bar's heyday. The summertime is more like, buy and fly and go smoke on the porch. But especially when the weather is inclement, people want to go and sit where they can enjoy a cigar in a comfortable atmosphere and not be cold or wet or rainy or have the wind whipping at them. So, it's I think to your point, Paul, I don't really see people not coming to Twins, not spending money on cigars, but I do think that in lieu of doing other things, people are doing this.
Yep.
And I think in our particular case, you can come and have a great social event at either location. Londonderry offers the bar, Hooksett offers the BYOB lounge, and both of those experiences really enable people to still do social things that they really enjoy. And so for less than the cost of a movie ticket, you get to enjoy your cigar.
Now, we don't know how it's affecting other businesses. We don't know if the restaurants will feel the effect of this or not.
Right.
People might decide not to go out for dinner, 2 or 3 nights a week. Maybe they'll go once a week or maybe twice a month, whatever. So we don't really know what other, services or retailers will be affected. But in the cigar world, people are still coming. and I think this is their fun time. This is their escape.
Now, what have you noticed up at the bar, Pat?
I mean, it's definitely gotten busier. I mean, I'm trying to reflect on when I first started. And I think it's always been moderate. Like it's when there's a day and there's only like 10 people in the building, it was always shocking. But typically it was moderate. Like you were never really behind on anything. I'd say maybe half capacity average. But I work currently Saturday and Sundays, and I'm in the bar still doing homework throughout the week. But I noticed that Sunday used to be a moderate day, and then recently it's been one of the busier days, to the point where we had to change staffing to where I'm upstairs permanently because having one bartender, it's not enough anymore.
Right.
And I've noticed everyone that was there when I started on Sundays is still there, but I've noticed a lot of new faces that have become regulars that I now know because they constantly come once a week on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why, but it's good. But I think one of the unique things about just cigar smoking is, when you go out to dinner, I think, it's kind of a flat fee. You can kind of expect it's going to be about, X amount of money because entrees are kind of priced accordingly. But when you go to a cigar lounge, you can get a really good cigar for, a few bucks.
Right.
And that cigar burns the same amount of time as something else would. You can get drinks upstairs. You have the 724 promo. You can get a really nice shot of bourbon or whiskey or tequila for $7. So I don't think, our industry has really been hit negatively from it.
Right.
I think it's kind of prospered from it, but I definitely notice it's been a lot more busy. And then during the week, it's now the parking lot is deceivingly busy because everyone drives themselves. So I mean, spaces to bar seats. That it is what it is. But it's been getting packed. Like I think when I started the first year I worked, there's only one occasion. Granted, COVID was more severe than it currently is, but there was one event where they were standing room, like people were standing. But during the week, I'd say at least 1 or 2 days a week, you have people standing, which is pretty unique to when I started.
Yeah. Wednesdays of all days have been
Very
horrendous.
busy.
Mm-hmm.
Very busy.
Hump day.
Yep. Yeah, I work Wednesday and Thursday nights, and we've noticed that Wednesdays and Thursdays are just full bore, and it starts earlier too. I mean, like you say, I'll come in around 11 or 12 in the afternoon, and just around the time the bar's opening, and I'll count 20 cars in the parking lot, and I know they're upstairs waiting for that door to open.
Right.
And it starts earlier. You might have a little bit of a lull around dinner time, and then around 7 or so, it just comes right back. And so, yeah, we got I don't really see that changing until the weather is, more consistent. Nice out when the golfers and bikers are out. We may see a little bit of a shift there, but I still think people are going to be, like you say, Dan, buy and fly. I don't think it's going to change much for us.
Yep. Now, something I think we've noticed at the store too is that we've seen a influx of pipe smoking people, and there have been a lot of cigar people who have crossed that line and are now enjoying pipes. And if you are a person who is concerned about how much money you have to spend, you like to smoke, still want to smoke, one of the reasons I think we're seeing that is because dollar for dollar, you get a lot more bang for your buck with pipe tobacco. For instance, this tin of Crumble Cake here is the same cost as the cigar that we smoked, the Padron 1926 number 6. But we've all been able to enjoy tobacco from this tin. You could probably fill your pipe, depending on the size, somewhere between 15 and 20 times out of this tin for $16. Whereas, in 45 minutes, the number 6 is gone. you know, and so you can really enjoy really, really good high-end tobacco. You can get a great experience smoking for a fraction of the cost. And I do think that's one of the reasons we've seen the pipe community get bigger and bigger. I think I don't think that's the only reason.
Well, no,
But I
you're
think
the Darth Piper, Dan.
I think that is one of the reasons. Is that you know, the most expensive? You've heard me say it before. The most expensive thing about smoking a pipe is buying the pipe. After that, you know, you can get tobacco relatively cheap compared to cigars. Now there is the bug that comes, and so instead of buying one tin, you buy two: one to smoke, one to save. You end up saying, "Ooh, I like that pipe too," and so you buy another one. So it's you know, I don't know that pipe people are spending less money in the long run, but you know, I think that the enjoyment of it is certainly something. I know for me, you know, working in the tobacco shop, I could spend my whole paycheck smoking cigars. And there was a season of my life where I practically did that. And when I realized, you know, how much money I was spending on cigars, I, you know, stopped myself. I do have bills to pay, kids to feed, you know, but, you know, I've also realized that so it's gotten to the point where, you know, I can, like when Boston Tea Party hit the store, I was pumped because I love that tobacco. It's great. And for the price of a Padron, I could smoke for a week. You know, and you know, there's something to be said for that. What do you guys think about all that? Do you think that's a bunch of bunk, or are you with that, against that?
No, I mean I've seen it where I've had many different customers who started off as cigar only customers, and then they get their introduction to pipe tobacco, and then pretty soon they're adding pipe tobacco along with their cigar purchases, and now I've seen probably a good handful, if not more, strictly go to pipe. And I think they've realized twofold: A, yes, they can save money by buying the pipe tobacco, but they also enjoy what the pipe tobacco is providing them. They enjoy the flavors of it.
Yeah.
They really have gotten into it. You know, young, and it's not the older folks; it's the younger folks. I've noticed several different younger, you know, in their 20s who have come in. And again, in the beginning, they were all cigars, and now they're all pipe.
Who are some of those people?
Want me to give names?
Well, you don't have to like give people away.
I mean, I mean, I just
Really?
I'm not going to give names, but I'll just say that these are gentlemen in their mid-20s who, when they first came in, they were just of age. They're all cigars, and they were buying cigars by the tray full.
Okay.
And I hardly see them anymore go into the humidor. They make a quick right turn when they enter, and they go right to the pipe tobacco, and they're buying not just one tin, they're buying several tins or several packages of our blends, and then they're coming in on a regular basis.
So to that extent, you don't see them necessarily spending less in the store either.
Not necessarily, no, but their experiences are, yes, they see the value in terms of pipe, but they see the experience and what they're going to get out of it.
Right.
And that it really it's nice to see, really. And then you get a lot of customers who do both.
Right.
They want to be able to have their pipe tobacco, you know, and then they'll buy the cigars. So they're not giving up the cigars.
Yeah.
They're enjoying both different both experiences. So but they're not telling me that it's because of cost.
Right.
But and one guy specifically comes in probably on a weekly basis. He buys the same box or two, and he goes right to the pipe tobacco, and he's willing to try different blends. He wants to go through every single pipe tobacco we have to try to capture what he's looking for, and he's hooked now.
Yeah. I love what Kaz said last week, that if you're in the mood for steak and somebody offers you an ice cream, that's not going to scratch the itch.
Right.
But if you're in the mood for ice cream, somebody offers you a steak, that's not going to help you either. That cigars and pipes are two different things.
Yep.
And I'm not giving up cigars for anybody. I love my cigars, but when you're in the mood for a pipe, that's the only thing that works.
Yep.
And there are tastes and smells and experiences from smoking a pipe that you just can't get from cigars.
Right.
Because they're two different things. Not because one's better than the other. It's just two different things. And I think exposing people to a different thing, and showing them a different way of enjoying tobacco, I think is a really good thing. I think it's a great thing for the shop. I think it's a great thing for them.
Yep.
Yeah, Kurt says, isn't there a special group that comes in on Sunday?
Well, there's a special group that comes in on Saturday. What Sunday thing is he talking about?
There's a lot of bikers.
Paul,
that come
you're in
Sundays.
on Sundays.
A lot of
I'm never-
bikers.
he's never there on Sundays.
I'm not sure exactly where he's going with this, but if it's what I think it is, Pat, you might know more about them than I do.
Then he says, put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Oh no! I know what he's talking about. It's only once a month though, Kurt.
There might be another group coming in too. They were in.
God help us.
Yeah, really.
Oh my goodness. Are we talking biking groups?
No, not necessarily.
Mm-mm.
What is he talking about?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Poor Jack Daniels upstairs.
Oh my
Poor
gosh.
man.
Can't wait for the deck to open fully.
All right. You ready for a little would you rather?
Yes.
All right. The would you rather question tonight. This should engender some discussion. Would you rather humans discover a signal from intelligent life from another planet, or figure out how to extend human life for another 100 years?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Would you rather people discover intelligent life on other planets,
Mm-hmm.
or figure out how to make the average lifespan 100 years longer? Insert crickets here.
I'd rather find intelligent life. I don't want to put up with anybody any longer than I have to. And I'm pretty sure they don't want to put up with me that longer either. Why would I want to bear diapers for another 100 years? Like, that's just, oh, no. Yeah.
Your assumption is that if you extended 100 years, you'd be 100 years in a diaper?
I mean, it all depends. Like, what happens when they come out with this miracle thing, and they give it to you, and if you're old, then you're going to be old for longer.
That is what another 100 years would do. You'd be older longer, yes. Paul?
I don't. That's tough because if there was a way to, how do I put this? If there was a way to thoroughly enjoy your life for another 100 years, where you didn't have to.
Yeah,
Because-
what if
because I get-
middle age was like at 75
Or 100.
or 100?
I don't know, man. I mean, I guess we all do what we have to do to
Get your license
to
at
get
30.
to get through the days and all that. But do we want to do this the same thing that we're doing for another 100 years? I don't know if that's what I want to do. If there's some type of additional, I don't know, we didn't have to worry about financing the next 100 years.
Well, think about that.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
like, when
that's-
would you have your kids? Would you have them when you're like 30? That'd be. I mean, think about it. You'd have like 5-6 generations all living together. Like, that's
All right,
crazy.
let me put it this way.
That's a population
all
problem.
things being equal, if you didn't have to worry about financing yourself the next 100 years, then I would say yes. Yes to the 100 years. But if you have to take what you have now and make it stretch it out for another 100 years, that'd be a little tough.
Yeah.
So having without that additional
All right.
information,
That's
I would
fair.
say I would rather find intelligent life.
Okay, so we have one. I'd rather find aliens. One. I'd rather live another 100
No,
years.
no,
What-
no.
Pat?
Well, if without, with the financial security going along with it.
Pat, I know you've only been on this planet for a short time.
24 years.
You jealous?
No, I've been here twice as long. I've got lessons I'm not going to be learning again. I'm so glad I'm not where you are. I'm laughing at the problems you're dealing
I'll
with.
see you at your funeral.
Hopefully. Hopefully. World is a cruel place.
I would choose the latter just because that gives me
That's very vague. What is the latter?
the second option, being alive 100 years longer,
Okay. Yep.
and it gives me time to smoke my cigars. I wouldn't have to give them to someone.
So
Give them to someone.
Greed.
you're
Isn't that
so
wonderful?
greed.
You're worried about giving your cigars to someone when you die?
Greed guides your decision. No one's gonna smoke my cigars. I'm gonna smoke them myself.
Or it gives you another 100 years to smoke some cigars, hang out, chill,
I bought the cigar back in 2022.
watch Disney Disney go to porn or something, A lot can happen 100 years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I think I downloaded the wrong Aladdin video.
Oh my gosh. What's our final verdict here on the Crumble Cake Red Virginia from Sutliff?
I thoroughly enjoyed this tobacco, and I'll be honest with you. This is very unique tobacco to me. Like I said before, I was getting more of a confectionery sugar on the palate in the first draw. It went away on the exhale, brought out a little bit more of that that lemon drop melon flavor. Nice spice on the retrohale. I thought it was an outstanding tobacco. I did like I thought the Hakushu brought out like Pat had said, a little bit more of that leather tones. I think the smoky
Yep.
peat, it's not very peaty. It's
No, not
just,
at
just
all.
lightly peated,
Mhm.
lightly smoky. Brought out a little bit more of those leather tones. I thought it was a pretty good complementary pairing.
I think you did great, Paul.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like a shot in the dark. I really just kind of, for some reason, I just kind of,
Felt like Hakushu.
no, I just really kind of went to, I said, what do I have in my cabinet that I haven't had in a while? And again, the reason why I haven't had this is back in the like 5-6 years ago, I really wasn't into that smoky, peaty flavor, and I've had this maybe a few more times, and my palate's accepting of it now. So as you get older, your palate changes a little bit. Now I'm enjoying this a little bit more. I thought the floral notes from the whiskey was going to complement
Just
the
think that,
tobacco,
you know,
and I thought it did.
In 100 years, you'll be drinking Mountain Dew.
No, never. Never.
No. Nope.
With
Nope.
some turkey. Wild turkey.
Dave, what did you think of the Crumble Cake?
I thought it was magical. Yep. I think the pairing was really good. The sweetness of both really played well with each other. The floral notes really played well with each other. I'm highly satisfied. Thank you, Paul.
For another 100 years.
For another 100 years.
No, I wanted aliens.
We're still one alien.
Pat.
I enjoyed it a lot, actually. It reminds me a lot of Mississippi River, but it has a different, kind of twist to it. It has like that nice.
Being that it doesn't have anything other than Mississippi River, other than this one tobacco.
Oh, it has that like vinegar sensation that I enjoy from Mississippi River. So I think, for one, if someone enjoys Mississippi River, I would highly suggest they try this because it gives you the same kind of experience by that sensation on the palate, except obviously different flavors. Like it's very like stone fruit sweet forward, and then it gives has like that hay and kind of figs from the drink. But yeah, I think the drink definitely was complimentary. I enjoyed. Now I did like that hickory kind of barbecue sauce sweetness I got without the drink, but I'm a Scotch drinker, so that leather note that it introduced in place of that was very welcoming to me. So
Yeah, I'm enjoying the leather with it. I didn't know what I would think of that. The kind of smoky peatiness along with the Virginia, but I really think it works. It's very pleasant. I like it. Paul, you did a great job.
Yay,
thanks.
Paul.
Yeah.
Yay.
Great job.
Watch out, Pat.
Yeah, watch out. You got competition, Pat. Now, next Monday on Not Just Blowing Smoke, Tequila Talia is going to be back with us, and she's going to be joining us as we look back on the first quarter of new releases in 2022. We're going to be talking about the cigars and tobaccos that came out in the first quarter, ones we've done on the show, obviously, as well as ones that we did not, and talk about how we think the cigar industry is doing for the first quarter. Did they come out with a bunch of stuff that was impressive? You know, what worked, what didn't? We're going to give our thoughts on that, and we're going to do that by lighting up one of those cigars that came out, the Black Label Memento Mori. And Cornell and Deal's just released 8 State Burley Small Batch, which is just hitting the stores just a couple days after we air this, Wednesday the 23rd, I believe. And so that's going to be a really good show, too. So make sure you're here with us next Monday, 8 o'clock. Don't miss it. And that's not just blowing smoke, people.